What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Daniel's Sports Ledger, sports betting tips and picks for sports bettors. No Manny today, no Manny, so we'll get him on. I think he's gonna be on tomorrow. Sounds like we're trying to get this schedule working right. So hopefully, right now the plan is kind of to go every day or pretty much every day around 8 Eastern time. That might change. We'll see what happens. But for right now, we are definitely going to try to do a podcast pretty close to every day. A lot. I have a lot in store, and it's gonna be fun because when Manny listens to this, he's gonna have a lot to say when he comes back. Because I got a really, really, really hot take in the NBA right now. A really hot take. Um, so let's just start with that actually. And I wanted to talk more about coaches in our last podcast, Belichick and some of the guys where they might go. Didn't really get a chance to, but so today I'll dive deeper into that. But first let's start with the NBA here. Everybody's talking about one guy, Joel Embiid. And if you know me, you know I've never really well, I'll save that for just a second. But here's the thing about Joel Embiid, okay? What does Joel Embiid have in common with all of these players right here? Okay, what does he have in common with James Harden? Some of these guys aren't in the league anymore, but same type of guys. James Harden, Amari Stoudemire, Gilbert Arenas, Carmelo Anthony, Russell Westbrook, Dwight Howard, Anthony Davis. What does he have in common with all of these guys and all the guys like these guys? Now, that's a wide range of players, all different positions, but they all have one real big thing in common. You could never build a championship team around that player. And I'm just going to say, I've never been the biggest Embiid fan. I know he's a stat king. All of these guys are stat kings. But you can't build championships around these players. You can't say, okay, he's going to be our centerpiece and we're going to build around him and we're going to win a championship. I don't think Embiid's ever going to win a championship. And these players that may eventually win a championship, you're never going to say, oh, they won a championship because of Joel Embiid or because of James Harden. What you're going to say is, you're going to say, despite having James Harden or Joel Embiid on the team, they were able to win a championship. They won it even though they had this guy. And it's because, they're stat kings, but they're not guys that I don't know what it is. It's so hard to explain, and I wish I could explain what it is, but everybody knows what it is in sports. When you have those guys, they're stat kings. They put up all these stats, they win MVPs, they do all these amazing things, but they just don't have that championship mentality. They just don't ever really get it done. Whatever it is, if it's the biggest moment, I still talk about Stoudemire, when back on the Suns back in the day, and he was dominating whoever he was playing in the this was the conference. It was to go to the championship. And I can't remember who was guarding him, but he was just dominating him and just putting up points after points. It got down to the last few minutes of the game. Steve Nash throws him the ball. He threw it right back to Steve Nash. Steve Nash throws him the ball. He throws it right back to Steve Nash. Steve Nash throws the ball. He throws it right back to Steve Nash. The shot clock's about over. Steve Nash just has to throw up some wild thing. And they end up losing that game because Stoudemire wouldn't take those final shots. He wouldn't take those. He didn't want to be the guy in the media that was just like, hey, you know, you missed shots and so you guys lost the game or whatever. He didn't want to take that pressure on. He didn't want to take. He don't want to be that person. You could see it in Stoudemire. A couple years later, they trade him to the Knicks, and he gets his points or whatever. But that's what these guys are. They're not the guys that are like, all right, it's towards the end of the game. They're not these Kobe Bryants and stuff that are just give me the ball. We're gonna go down. We're gonna score. I want the ball constantly in the media. If we lose, I'm gonna be the one that says, "Hey, we lost. I did everything I could, but we lost." Or, or even take all the credit. They just they're not those guys. And Joel Embiid, yeah, I mean he's a great player, but I've never been sold on the guy. I mean, yeah, he puts up numbers, but you're not gonna win a championship because of him. You're gonna win a championship despite having him on your team, and that's just the way I feel. By the way, I don't normally buy these hats, but I really like this one this year, so I went ahead and got it. Plus, I feel like this is the year for Buffalo, so it was it's time to get this hat. Um, but yeah, so that's my take on Embiid. I mean, I guess he needs to. I don't know if he can has enough games that he can win MVP. I guess you have to have 65 games or something. I don't know. I think that's a dumb rule. I mean, why do they put a rule on that? This doesn't even make any sense. And Embiid probably should, regardless of if he plays the 65 games or doesn't, he probably should be the MVP. And, he's probably going to be the best player in the NBA this year, but they're not going to win a championship. For me, a much bigger deal was the Pacers getting Pascal Siakam, or however you say that guy's name. That's a much bigger deal. That's the kind of guy that you bring to a team that has a guy that you can build around. You put him with LeBron James or something like that. You put him with one of those guys, and you go, okay, this is the kind of guy that helps you win championships. Joel Embiid's just not. He's not the guy I think of that's going to help the team win a championship. Sack him, however you say that guy's name, Pascal. He's the kind of guy I go, oh wow, yeah, he's that number 2 guy you bring in to win a championship. And so I think that's I know the Pacers still have a lot to do. They still need they have a lot of problems on defense right now, but um, that's a good step in the right direction. As far as giving up 3 first rounders in the draft, first round draft picks don't really mean anything in the NBA unless you have a lottery pick. And it's like the top pick in the draft or top 2 or 3 picks in the draft. Draft picks don't really. Who cares if you trade them away? Who cares? And the picks that they traded away, that's going to kind of be a down year from what I'm hearing in the NBA draft. So it's not going to make that much of a difference. So I mean, that I think is a heck of a get for the Pacers. So good on them. And so yeah, I mean the NBA is heating up. We're gonna start talking about it more. I can't wait to hear what because I know Manny's gonna go opposite on me. I know he's gonna want to say no, Embiid's the man and blah blah blah. But that's my hot take. I'm not, as far as MVP, sure, but as far as winning a championship, I never really thought Embiid is just a guy that you build around, a guy that you know he's not a guy you want on a championship team. He's the kind of guy that like I said, you win despite of him, not because of him. And and the problem with those guys too is they don't want the ball at the end, but then you're always giving it to them at the end, and or you always feel like you have to throw it to them, and they don't have that, they don't have that thing in them where they just make every shot at the end. They get nervous or whatever and miss shots at the end, but you feel like you had to get it to him because he's the guy you have to get it to. I mean, it's just, it's really hard to explain, but those guys are just those guys. I mean, I don't know how else to explain it, man. They're stat beasts, but that's really where it ends for them, in my opinion. Um, Going on to some of the coaching stuff, I feel bad for Atlanta because Atlanta right now, they're bringing in, Harbaugh is interviewing there, Belichick's interviewing there. I think he might even be doing a second interview there, maybe. But they're really just a bargaining chip. These guys aren't going to Atlanta. I mean, when you have quarterbacks, you have a Heineken bottle and the Riddler for your quarterbacks. I mean, what are you talking about? And by the way, I mean Tyler Heineken bottle. Obviously, there's a pun there, and then Riddler, or what's his name? I don't know, whatever. It's practically Riddler. We just call him the Riddler. Um, you're not, and they don't. It's not like they have a high draft pick. Like with the Bears, they can get the guy out of USC. something like that, and now and they have a pretty talented team. I see Belichick more likely to go to the Bears, or Harbaugh or something, where it's like, okay, we can trade Justin Fields and get like some more talent. We have a decently talented team. We can get the top quarterback in many years out of the draft, and we can build something in Chicago, and then how great are you going to look by making Chicago good? You know what I mean? Chicago has a lot of good things going for them as a coach. Atlanta, it's like, yeah, I mean, you have a young, pretty talented team, but you don't have quarterbacks. You don't have a way to get a quarterback, and you're never going to really be anything without a quarterback. So there's really that to me, they're just a bargaining chip. For me, it's Belichick interviewing with Atlanta is what he's really doing, because I think Belichick takes a year off unless one thing happens. And I think Belichick is sending the bat signal to the Eagles saying, look, if you fire your coach, I'm available. I'll come coach Jalen Hurts, and I'll come to the Eagles. Um, I don't think Belichick goes anywhere else. I don't. The other option would be the Chargers, but he hates the Chargers. He's always, for decades now, he's talked about hating the Chargers. He hates their stupid little song that they sing. He doesn't like the organization. He doesn't like the ownership. He can't stand the LA Chargers. He doesn't like them. Um, and so I mean, the only draw for him is the quarterback situation. But you know, we've seen people not want to go to the Chargers, such as Eli Manning and other people, because the organization just it's not a good organization. Um, and so I don't see Belichick wanting to go there. I don't even know that he interviews there. Um, but really, I mean, I think what he's trying to say, and he's not going to go to the Cowboys because that's a dynamic that's just not going to work with him and Jerry Jones and the fighting and the struggle, the power struggle there. That's not going to be a fit for him. Um, so really, he has, I don't know that he's even thought about the Bears. That's a possibility. Seattle kind of has the same problem. They have Geno Smith, they have a decent quarterback and stuff, but they kind of have the same problem as Atlanta in a sense. You've got a talented team, but where are you really going to get that real quarterback? Geno Smith is a good quarterback, but I mean, I'm talking about a real quarterback. You know, uh, Seattle doesn't have the draft picks for that. They're not bad enough team to like get the draft picks for that. So, that's not really an option. So I don't know, and I don't know if he's thought about Chicago, but that actually would be something I think he might consider. But really, I think he's just trying to tell the Eagles, I'm available. If you want to get rid of your coach, then I'll come over and coach for you. Otherwise, I think he sets out a year, and maybe next year the Eagles get rid of their coach or something else opens up for him. Uh, and then as far as Harbaugh, what same thing. He's not. I see Harbaugh going to the Chargers. Um, if I'm the Chargers, I'm going all in to get Belichick or Harbaugh. But again, I don't see Belichick doing it. So go all in, get Harbaugh. You've got the coach. I mean, you've got the quarterback. Don't waste them. Um, you know, we also see when successful quarter coaches like Pete Carroll and some of these other coaches that have left college to go to the NFL, uh, they know the landscape. They know all these players in college so well, so they end up drafting really well their first couple of years. So Harbaugh can go there. He could draft really well. He can help fix the issues with the Chargers. He can help, get the quarterback going. To me, that makes sense. Um, Otherwise, stay with Michigan. Again, I think Chicago's not a. I can't believe I'm saying it, but it's not a bad option when you can get the quarterback. You can trade Justin Fields, get more players. You have more draft picks. You have something there that you can do, that you can build. And if, again, you're going to look amazing. Being the coach that finally fixed the Bears. Um, so I think there's a lot there. Another option is if I'm the Cowboys, there's one coach I have in mind if I'm gonna fire my coach. And I know people this is gonna sound crazy to people, but I think Pete Carroll would be great for the Cowboys, you know? He's got that personality, he's so jovial that, um, I think he can work with Jerry Jones and actually even, like, get Jerry Jones to, like, kind of back off a little bit just through his jovialness, if that's a word, just through his jokes and having fun and kind of he could get Jerry Jones to be like, "Oh, okay, yeah, I guess I kinda see it your way," you know? Um, and, you know, he could be you know, they need a positive influence. It just feels like they have the weight of the world on that Cowboys organization and somebody that could just be like disperse that weight and just kind of bring in a positivity and kind of get rid of that black cloud that's over them. I think Pete Carroll, that's who I would go after if I'm the Cowboys. You know, I don't know if that's even an option or how that could work out, but that that's that to me is the solution in Dallas, would be Pete Carroll and not Belichick because Belichick's gonna be that same grumpy guy and, you know, and then Jim Harbaugh is gonna be super intense, and that's gonna add more pressure. I think you need somebody that's a great coach, a great strategist, and somebody that's just gonna, like, get rid of that dark cloud that's over the organization and just kind of, you know, um and he's very disciplined too. You know, he doesn't Pete Carroll doesn't get enough credit. He does discipline his guys. He will bench guys for a quarter or like do certain things to his guys that he doesn't really get credit for that because you just see the positivity of him all the time. But he does have a uh do the oh okay, oh hey, what's up, Austin? So we got a question from Austin. But yeah, so I mean, that's I pretty much killed the Pete Carroll thing in Dallas. But yeah, I mean, I think that do the Steelers keep picking or draft? Um, you know, I think after thinking about it, I think Mason Rudolph is the better choice than Pickett at the moment. Um, man, I don't know what the Steelers do. Uh, they would be really stupid to get rid of their coach, of course. The coach might be smart to leave to a better place. um, but man, that's you know, I mean, it's hard to say with the Pickett thing because you know, without seeing the training camp and being in that organization and really knowing what Pickett has. I mean, we've seen it on the field, but you know, it's much easier if you're part of the organization to really see how far somebody's come along. Um, and I don't know. I don't think Pickett's the solution right now. I mean, to be honest, I think I'm more on Mason Rudolph. He's got the you know the size and the talent and the ability, and you know maybe he just needs maybe some of the mental game. But man, it's a tough situation in Pittsburgh right now for what they should do. And they're not drafting super high either, so it kind of depends. I'd have to look more about who's in the draft. I I haven't gotten into this next year's draft so much that I know all of the quarterbacks coming out this year and who it is. So I'd probably have a better answer for this closer to the draft. But at the moment, I don't know. It's an interesting situation. And maybe if you like Justin, maybe they trade for Justin Fields if you think um you can be the guy that uh gives him the opportunities that he needs, coaches him up, all of that. Justin Fields has talent, but I don't know, man. Justin Fields to me is that kind of guy that there's maybe one coach in the world that could get him to be a phenomenal player. And if you don't have that one coach, then he's probably not going to be good. And who knows who that one coach is? You know, it's like he has a talent, but is there anyone that can actually like? what's the right team and the right place and the right coach and the right this and the right that, and is it all going to come together? I mean, I I don't know. Um so I mean, barring basically the most immaculate recipe, then you're not going to have you know, then he's just not going to make it in the NFL in my opinion. So, but maybe you take a chance on him, maybe you take a chance on somebody else. I don't know, but they obviously need to find that quarterback. I mean, I don't think that there's anybody in the NFL that you trade for. Maybe you get Kirk Cousins, you know. Maybe you get Kirk Cousins and then you draft somebody the next couple of years in a row and see if you can strike gold, like a Jordan Love or something, who by the way is, man, has he come along. But maybe that's what you do. You get Kirk Cousins, probably the best band-aid you could get for the next few years. You've got a great coach. Um, I mean, I think that's the answer. I think that's the answer. You try to find a way to get Kirk Cousins in Pittsburgh, and then you work on, trying to develop somebody for when he leaves in 3 or 4 years or whenever it is. So, yeah, I think that's the answer for the Steelers. Try to find a way to get Kirk Cousins. I don't know if it's possible, but I've heard that there is possibility for other teams to snag him. So yeah, I mean that's probably where I would go if I'm the Steelers. Um, if I'm the Steelers head coach, maybe I try to grab one of these other coaching opportunities. I don't know, but that's hard to say. Hard to say though what the Steelers are gonna do. They're kind of in this weird limbo, and we'll kind of see what happens. They always seem to figure something out though, um, because they are a good organization, and good organizations find ways to stay at least relevant in some way or another. And I think they will. Another thing we got to talk about is the Browns fired their offensive coordinator Alex Van Pelt. I know a lot about Alex Van Pelt. Alex Van Pelt was a backup for the Buffalo Bills for many years. His first coaching job, I believe, was with the Bills. Became their offensive coordinator. I think after that, he might have went to Indianapolis as an offensive coordinator under Frank Wright, maybe. But he's been an offensive coordinator a few different places. He's kind of one of those guys I felt like his jump to offensive coordinator was a little too soon, but he has seemed to succeed pretty well as an offensive coordinator wherever he's gone. Never been totally sold on the guy as an offensive coordinator, but firing him to me doesn't make sense in this particular case because you look at the Browns had four different quarterbacks this year. Uh, they've done a good job. I don't see where you look at him from a perspective of this year and you say we need to fire him as the offensive coordinator for the Browns. I don't know where that logic comes from. So, am I the biggest Alex Van Pelt fan out there? No, but do I think that the Browns should have fired him? No, I don't. Because I don't find the chink in his armor for this year. I don't see you're going to say that playoff game. Did he throw those pick sixes back to back? I mean, I don't see that playoff game being the chink in his armor to fire him. I think that's silly. And that's, goes to, and again, I said I think Kevin Stefanski is one of the best coaches in the NFL for the Browns, but that goes back to the Browns being a stupid organization where it's just like, hey, let's find a scapegoat this year. Let's fire Alex Van Pelt. I mean, it's a good, like the Steelers wouldn't have fired Alex Van Pelt, if you just changed organizations. He doesn't get fired because of that game. So I mean, it's just one of those things where it's like that's just another stupid organizational thing that it's just like, well, we're the Browns, so we're gonna do something stupid, or we want to make ourselves look good or something. I mean, I don't. It doesn't make any sense to me. Um, and and I say that not being really an Alex Van Pelt fan. So I think that's dumb by the Browns. You know, unless there's something behind the scenes I don't know. Um, Maybe he got in an argument or something. Lastly, I want to talk about Gerard Mayo. Um, he had his press conference today. A lot of good things in it. A lot of questionable things. Make you kind of scratch your head a little bit. Um, in his press conference, the owner sitting right there next to him during all of his questions. It kind of felt like people were huddled around him. It kind of felt like he's already handcuffed. You know what I mean? It's like, and he's like, "Oh no, I'm not gonna be that guy that like takes full ownership of everything. I'm gonna ask everybody because I've never done this before. I'm gonna ask questions from everybody and all over the place." And I don't think that's really smart either. I mean, you've got to take opinions and stuff from people, but you can't just, not every opinion is going to really matter or even be worth the time for you to even listen to. So, if you're taking time to listen to opinions that just aren't even needed, all you're doing is wasting time as a coach. Manny says Manny's watching. He can't be here, but he is watching. Manny says Pickett is done, and I can't disagree with that too much, Manny. Um, but yeah, I can't disagree too much with that. But yeah, I mean, I don't know with Gerard Mayo. I mean, it's like I don't know. It just feels like he's already handicapped. Like I said before, I said is Gerard Mayo actually going to get a fair shot with the Patriots? I don't know that he will. Um, I think that there's going to be a lot of good things that he's going to do, but I think that I don't know. Is he really ready for this? You know, I don't know. We'll see. It's going to be interesting to see how this develops. And, obviously they need a GM. I just saw an atrocious statistic about the last 18 draft picks or something. Only one of them's been on All Pro, and that was Mac Jones, who's you know whatever. I mean, they've drafted horribly. Belichick is the thing about Belichick is he's always been the worst draft pick guy. He's never been good picking draft picks. Um so you're gonna have to get a guy in there that's gonna do good picking draft picks. I don't know. I just feel like Gerard Mayo's not going to get a fair shot. I feel like he's just coming into this handcuffed, and that's just not the way to do it. Like I said, I feel like he's kind of that guy. You know, they throw him in there. They kind of okay, we've been bad. We've kind of gotten people aren't really thinking about legendary Belichick anymore. Now let's bring in the real Pete Carroll or this guy or Jim Harbaugh or this guy or whoever to really build our team and you know I just feel like he's kind of stuck in this middleman coaching job and it's not really fair to him, but then again, does he necessarily even deserve the job? He's never even been an offensive or defensive coordinator, so um doesn't really matter if they're fair to him in this sense because he's kind of just been gifted a job that was apparently in Belichick's contract, that when I leave, you have to hire him as the next coach or something. I don't. None of this stuff makes any sense to me. I don't know what the Patriots are doing over there. Um, but yeah, so this, it's going to be interesting as far as the playoff games. I haven't really made too much. Um, I haven't made too. I haven't totally locked down my decisions. I've gotten a little bit further on where I'm picking as far as these divisional round games go. Uh, I definitely am starting to change kind of the opinions I had yesterday. So hopefully by tomorrow, when Manny's back, I will have it pinned down to who I'm picking in this divisional games. But I definitely spent some time watching some tape on some of these different teams and seeing where I think I want to go with it. Definitely not gonna have another week like we had last week. That's not gonna happen this week. So we're gonna give out some fire picks this week. We're definitely gonna make some money this week, and it's gonna be a great week. So we can't wait to have Manny back. When I don't have Manny, I'll try to keep these a little bit shorter, and then when I do have Manny, then we'll go a little bit longer. So I don't have much more to talk about. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what opinions you have in the comments. Um, and even if it's not live, throw your opinions down. I'll check them, and in the next game or the next podcast, I can respond to them because I'm sure some people have some strong opinions about some of the things I said today. So, as always, guys, let's make some money. Let's have some fun doing it.